Hey guys, Sonic Bob here, and today I'll show you how to build the Cynthia blaster. This blaster is consisted of 3D printed parts and is a bolt action springer. You can get this kit from outofdarts.com. This is not a sponsor, and you can also watch a tutorial video on there to show you how to build this. And you can pick different colors too, which is pretty awesome. The video on the website is about 2 hours long, and I had to sit there watching this and listening to explanations that are not necessary at all. And I'm like, why do I need to listen to this? And it doesn't really properly show you or anything specific of how what part is which, or it doesn't specifically tell you how it should go together. Instead, it just points you how to put together. So I'm gonna try and show everybody how to build this blaster in less than 10 minutes. So before following this tutorial, this is more for people who knows what they're doing and are aware of the hardware kit. But if you are new to building blasters, following a tutorial, or your first time, follow the 2-hour video, because that's will show you more specifics. And good luck if you do. If you want to sit 2 hours facing a screen, but it is a helpful video too. Anyway, let's get into it.
Yeah.
You hook me up with Bobby.
Big stepper, underground methods.
Anyway, tools needed for this build is a driver with a Phillips head, or you can get away with a Phillips screwdriver, the JB clear weld glue, or you can use the E6000 glue, which the E6000 glue you would have to wait a little longer for it to cure before you can start building it. So glue your tubes first. This should take about a whole day to do. On the bottom, it will have an R or an L, means left or right-handed. The smallest O-ring in, and a ram core on top. And you need 3 different screws to tighten this. Make sure it's evenly threaded it in. Here's the glue that I've used. It cures under 5 minutes compared to the E6000. Here is the plunger head. 4 different screws you would need to thread in. Keep it in the 3rd notch depending on your print. And here is the spring, a 5kg spring. Now put your O-rings in. Weave it just like that. And lube the O-rings using the slime it gives you. And lube up the plunger tube. Next is the threaded rod. This is the longest threaded rod in your hardware kit. And just slide it in just like this. This is going to connect to the front part of your Cynthia. Grab your other nut. And there's a tool that I didn't mention, but you can use your hands. A nut wrench that I used. Grab your rails. Screw it in together. The smallest one goes at the bottom and the longest one goes on the top. This will give it more stability and keep those 2 parts together. You can add your barrel in now, but you don't have to, because you have to screw in the front part anyway. Mid-sized O-ring can go in first, then the front part. Just screw it in so the barrel is nice and tight. So now is the back part. This back part's pretty confusing. You gotta put the pin through here. Make sure it's all nice together just like this. Make sure it's not too tight. And if it is, maybe ream it out just a little bit. Just don't do this first, because in the video it makes you put it in first and then put it in the back, which is weird. Do it first. he made me screw this in first instead of putting it in here first. It's so bullshit. So after my complaining, here is the thing that holds the pusher. The flattest part goes in, faces inward with two small link springs, and put in the back side of the stock, just like that. There are two planes. It says left hand, right hand. So since I'm right-handed, I choose the right one. So add some glue in, another thing I forgot to mention, with a detent inside. Next is the grip. I like to do one side first and drill everything in. And a bungee. The one in your hardware kit will be a little longer than this. Grab your shortest threaded rod and thread it from the back. If you are a good knot tyer, this is not going to take no problem at all. But for me, I am not that really good at knot tying. But I got it in just nicely. So I'd recommend maybe triple knotting this before putting it in. There's no really tricks of putting knots together. You just gotta make a knot. Don't cut it all the way at the end. Give it some slack. Add the rest of the pieces of the grip. I'm just showing how it would go in, but don't put this on yet, because you would need to put on the other one first. I'm only putting one side in because I need to show how to put on the mag well next. So grab your dowel pin, put them in, and the mag release trigger. So for the mag well cover, you put a link spring in. I like to put glue on it or lube just to keep the spring in place, because you would have to put it in. You'll see as you would build it. Screw down the bottom, and that should be it for the center piece. Now let's start for the final assembly. Grab your two bolt arms, make sure the holes line up, and add in your takedown pin. It's okay if it's a little loose, it'll tighten up. And let's put it in. Not in all the way, because you have to put in your tubes in first. And your spring. I forgot to do this in the beginning. I recommend you do this before, but it doesn't really matter. Just screw it in using a screwdriver and put them in. I recommend that you would try putting it in so it's primed, and then putting in the plunger tube. Slide it right in. I should have done this in the beginning too, adding my two smallest O-rings on. There should be two on there. Lube it, make sure to lube it up after that as well. I forgot to do that. But in your front, it should be a total of 6 screws, three on each side. And if you want to, these parts are optional. I forgot to put the nut behind the stock, so I had to take out 3 different ones and twist it back just to put in the 2 bolts in. But optional pieces for it. You don't have to have these, but it looks cool in my opinion. And the grip, which is pretty finicky, so you would have to use force to put shit down and screw it down in place. And it comes with a little pin to keep the things in place, and you should be finished.
Recording right now. Oh, dude, I'll leave it. I'll put it.
That was a good one. Right?